Welcome back to the Long Way Back podcast. I'm your host, Timmy Long, and tonight we have a very special guest. But before we go there, my co-host tonight is Tommy, as always.
Lads.
So, listen, Brenda Dennehy, how are you?
I'm great, and it's great to be here. And
welcome.
I'm excited, a bit nervous,
Yeah.
but I'm looking forward to chatting and
You're in safe hands anyway.
yeah, for sure.
You know, like this is coming for a long time. We spoke. We know each other a few years. I'd always known about your story in relation to the addiction side of it, but it wasn't time for you to come out. So what we're going to do tonight, just give people a little bit of a description where you grew up, where you come from, maybe a little bit around your family, and then we can move into maybe the addiction stuff, and just leave people know who you are.
Yeah.
You know, Brenda Dennehy.
Yeah, so I am from Ballydesmond. It's a small village in North County Cork and Kerry border. And I'm at the age of 38 now. So my childhood, looking back, very good childhood. When I look back on my childhood, like, and I know a lot of people say, well, addiction stems from trauma. Like mine, there's no trauma in my childhood, luckily, you know. So I have two older brothers and one sister. I'm the youngest in the family. And luckily my mother and father are still alive. And like a very rural upbringing. My mother and father own their own business. Great.
It's not much to join, is it?
No, it's not much to joinery. Not much to joinery. But yeah, just a very loving, happy family. And I suppose when I look back on my childhood, I can look back and I remember being addicted to Coca-Cola as a very young child. You know, I look back at that and remember my mother used to give us 40p pocket money a day, and my brother might be buying a dairy milk and my sister might be buying a bag of potatoes. I wanted the Coca-Cola. I was always at 40p. I remember the 220p's, you know, 20p was gold, showing my age now, and a horse in it. And I remember the two horses, and then I was like, I can get the can of Coke now, go over to Carney's, it's across the way of the shop. And like, it was nearly, I swear I must have been 6 or 7, like, or 8, and it was like a fix back then. It was like getting my Coca-Cola. And I was growing up as well, like a very happy child, you know, like very sociable in school, lovely friends. But I remember, like, I think my first kind of memory of kind of being OCD-ish was probably I had a timetable of like 7 o'clock get up, 7:05 get dressed, 7:10 brush teeth, 7:15, and this was a very young child. No one was telling me do it, and I'd written down. And I remember if I missed out, if I was 2 minutes late, I'd get really upset. You know, I'd get so upset that, you know, I was after ruining my schedule, ruining my plans, and it would be a big ordeal for the rest of the day. And like I'd say I was in a 3rd or 4th class. And like, there was always that kind of thing. I actually remember I got obsessed with the time as well. And I got like watching time and thinking time is never going to pass. I remember like I had to ask the teachers to remove the clock from the school. And they were like, oh, she's the clock woman and all this. But like the time and everything was all too much for my head. And then I suppose something else looking back on is I was like OCD on cleaning. And I know everyone says, oh, I'm OCD and cleaning, I have to have a really clean house. But this now was breaking down if there was any kind of mess. Like I remember, like I used to be getting up in the middle of the night, 8 or 9, and you know, we'd have an open fire and I would want to take out the ashes, and it'd be 5 o'clock in the morning and they'd still be red hot. And I'd be putting them into a plastic bucket. And my mother would be like, but the ashes are still hot. And I used to be crying to her, like wanting to take out the ashes. And I'm looking back now, it is kind of funny. Like I used to be begging her, could I hoover the kitchen and the sitting room? 5 o'clock in the morning, like it was only 9 or 10.
Did you ever get assessed for anything?
No, nothing.
Never.
Nothing. I suppose back then, Timmy, it was kind of
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
unknown, yeah.
you know, and I never really, and I suppose I just thought maybe, you know, this was just who I was and stuff like that. And I wasn't really, I don't think I caused much worry at home. You know, it's probably she'll get out of it. But I remember, never forget my sister, we've horses out the back and we've a couple of stables. And my sister came in and she came in her riding boots and there was all sawdust. And she walked up the stairs and I actually had a little nervous breakdown. Like I cried and it was pandemonium that she went up the stairs and there was sawdust in the stairs and I lost it. And like I remember my mother kind of looked at me going, like this is not right that she's getting so upset. And I never forget when she bought a Hoover and it was the Mila cat and dog. This is how much I remember dogs, we dogs. And I swear to God, it was like she was after buying a Lamborghini. I was like, I remember seeing Mila cat and dog and like, this can get the hairs now off the floor. But she used to be telling me, stop cleaning. Yeah. No one ever asked me to do it, but I think maybe I was looking for praise.
Yeah. There you go. That's something a child really looks for a lot of. You know, it doesn't matter whether it's coming in a good way or a bad way if they're doing something bold. It's all about the attention, even if it's about the praise. You know, like you were talking about the OCD stuff there and walking up the stairs, and you just reminded me of Nicole, my wife. Like Nicole is a fucking, like she's I'm used to her ways, right? But like if anybody comes to the house, like they're handed a pair of these little slipper things, you know, they go on your feet, they're like bags.
Yeah.
Hand them to them, because like the people that we ask to take off their shoes tell them no, they're not coming in, and they'll just say what they have to at the door and they'll go, you know, and that's what the way it is. But I think it can be a healthy thing to a degree with the cleanliness, can't it?
Yeah.
Like if it's causing you real stress and you're getting anxious over it, like maybe for example the way you felt now as a young child when your sister came in, it's like, oh yeah, that I could see where a parent would say, okay, you know what, my son Jay could be pretty much like that if the dog jumps up on top of his bed.
Yeah.
he nearly has a meltdown. But,
George is the same with the hairs.
she is, they're not too bad. She's
Yeah.
more relaxed than him.
Yeah.
But I can completely understand where you're coming from with that
Yeah,
stuff.
and I actually think, and I haven't mentioned this actually yet anywhere, but when I'm looking for the praise, I kind of worked it out then, because I suppose why I drank as well would be anxiety and stuff like that, but a feeling of I wasn't good enough looking for the praise. But I remember a teacher of mine, because when I was in treatment, and we'll go on to that, but I remember them looking back at a moment in your life. You don't have a significant moment in your life that could change the trajectory of your life. But I remember we had a teacher, and he basically told us we were all useless, and I never forget him kind of saying that you mightn't go to secondary school because you were all kind of basically thick.
Yeah.
And it was kind of then, from then on, you were kind of thick and you weren't good enough. And I suppose the praise and all that I was never going to be good enough. And I didn't really like secondary school as much, because I just kind of felt I wasn't good enough and I was thick and stuff like that, you know. But
did it happen to you from a young age? Was that something that you believed then about yourself going forward?
well, with my own family, there was none of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My parents are amazing people, but the school teacher, I can remember what kind of a day it was. I can remember where I was sitting in the class, and I remember him saying it. And I remember like saying, oh, he said, we're not going to go to secondary school because we're thick.
But you know, if a child has a learning difference, if they have dyslexia or dyspraxia or dyscalculia, and the teacher says something like that to them, what that does is justifies the way they feel about themselves already. And that's where a core belief comes
Yes.
from. A belief system, like, and that belief then kind of moves on with them throughout their life.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what you do, it will always be there until maybe someday you might get assessed and you're told that you're dyslexic, and this all of a sudden you're given all this information about dyslexia, and you're looking back in your life and you're saying, oh, that's the reason why I keep forgetting stuff, or that's the reason why I didn't understand that. And it's like, bang, this belief that you had starts to dissipate. It's nearly gone, because now you believe, and you're saying, oh, what, that teacher was wrong. I'm actually well able. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And then in later years, it's imposter syndrome then.
There
and
you
I
go.
still have that. I had to go to this event there last week, and it was a big news forum. I was like, sure, what am I doing here? They're all looking at me here going, what's she doing there? And I just had to snap out of it.
Yeah.
I just snap. I actually was going to email back one of my bosses going, I think you sent that email request to the wrong person straight away. And I went back to my childhood days, and I was like, snap out of it.
Do you know that imposter syndrome? I think that might, do you know, we can look at that as a bad thing, but I think it might help, like, us, because when things like that happen in our lives, we're so appreciative of it. It's like, thank you. You know, it's like, really, it's like, thank you, because imposter syndrome is Tommy, it's, do you know, if you're giving something completely in life that you never believed you could have.
Yeah, I get you.
Then you say, like, I don't deserve this.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough for this. You know, that's imposter syndrome.
Yeah, I get you.
Whereas, like, it's not that you don't deserve it. Of course you deserve it. It's just you have a belief internally
That
that
you're not good
you're
enough
not
for
good
it.
enough.
Yeah.
Or somebody else deserves it more
like
than
you
you.
were on about school there and teachers. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
I remember in school I hadn't a clue. I was way behind the class, like, and the teachers hadn't a clue. They didn't know how to handle me. They thought I was just messy because I couldn't do the work, so I was distracting myself and doing other stuff, and then later on in the years, they realise, right, he do have a problem. He's not bold. He's not messy. He's not disruptive. He have a problem. He can't read and write.
Yeah.
And it took from all my years in primary to 6th class from to kind of say, right, he have a problem. We need to look into this. And I went into secondary, and that's when I went to the special school then, over dyslexia and all that. So,
And did you feel more like understood then, as in
oh,
the acceptance
100%,
and all
because
that?
the teacher would come down and sit next to you and explain to you in that school what was going on, and like, because in the normal school it was just given, here, do it, and when it's in front of you, you're like, what the fuck am I going to do with this? Do you know what I mean? And it was horrible feeling.
Yeah.
It was horrible. I'll never forget primary.
You know, the only schools that I've been to, secondary and primary, were tough for us. But when in prison, the schools, the teachers in there are trauma informed, and they understand like where to meet somebody and their academic ability, and it's absolutely amazing. Because I went in there believing, I can't do this at all. We started at the VTAC, the lower ones. I said, I can't do this at all. I'm not able for this. I kept getting blank when something was difficult for me. But the teachers were there. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's 1-to-1 then. We'll go at your level. Whatever. We'll take our time. There's no pressure.
Yeah.
You know, and I wasn't anxious then trying to read something that it was difficult for me, because she was the only person in the room, or else there was other people in the room and they were at my same level.
Yeah.
You know, it was so much better. And I think like we should take the teaching in prison schools as maybe an example.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, just as you're saying that now to me, I remember when I went up to the school in the prison in the Midlands, and I says, look, I'm dyslexia and I can't read or write. And she goes, right. She goes, how far did you go in school? I said, I didn't even do my junior cert, which I didn't. You know, I was on the hop for it, and because I couldn't deal with sitting down doing a test. It was the biggest fear in my life. And she goes, come in here, and she sat me down. She goes, look, do what you can on that there. And when I did what I could in it and gave it back to her, she knew exactly where I was.
Yeah.
You know, she understood where I was, and she goes, right, we'll do VTech level 2. And I done it, and it wasn't too much pressure, and I wasn't up my head, I'm not doing that, and get it away at me.
Take it on.
I could take it on, and you know, and I finished it. It was the first thing I ever finished in my
you
life
must
in
feel
school.
amazing.
I was delighted.
I know. What way was secondary school for you, Brenda?
Secondary school, I don't know, for some reason secondary school I went to, I don't know, I didn't like it. No, nothing was really done to me, but I just don't think I was happy there. And then my last year I went to a different school in Tralee. I went to like a tutorial school thinking I was going to do a magnificent leaving cert. I was probably running away from the situation. You know, now that I look back, I just wasn't happy there.
Yeah.
And in those years lead up, I wasn't drinking or anything like that, like, or smoking. Like, I was a good child that way. You know, there was no doing the fool, as we all do, doing the clown, as we say. But I just wasn't really, I don't know, maybe I ran away from the situation, and then I went to college. Then after that, I suppose, when leading up to that, before college, I took my first drink. So, would you want me to kind of...
Yeah, like, how does...
Yeah, I suppose, because I'm going into college to be able to describe...
How does that feel?
Describe to college, but I suppose the funny
The first
thing
drink,
is,
how did you feel
well,
after your first drink?
well, do you know what the hilarious thing is? And Neil get a laugh out of this. No, us all being, as I say, in the club. I wanted to be a pioneer.
Yeah.
Because my dad was, and my older brother was, and I was like, I'm going to be a pioneer now, and I'm going to go get the confirmation now, and I'm going to tell the bishop I'm a pioneer. Remember that? You go to the bishop, and I did that.
I don't remember that.
I don't know. I think I did. You had something to do with the pioneer, your confirmation, didn't you?
Yeah.
Was that just down near me? I don't know. But anyway, and
Well, up where we came from, the priest knew we probably are walking down to drinking
He
drugs
probably
anyway.
said there's not a hope for you drive
Oh, yeah.
Nearly asking for bread with the jam, or jam with the bread.
I know, yeah.
well,
stop.
when I was going to school discos, all my friends were like drinking, like, we'll say, vodkas and all this, and I wouldn't. No, and I hope, like, I was a good girl now and all this, cheeky out and a messer, but I couldn't drink. No, I was going to be a pioneer. So my first drink, I was 19, and I was at on a night out in Killarney at a wedding. And I was going out with a guy just a couple of months, and I asked for a Diet Coke, of course, brought in the Coke, and gave me the Coke, and I drank it and I just had a Coke, and then within a few minutes I was like, this tastes different. What's something different about it? And then he told me there was a vodka in it, and if I really, really intended to be a pioneer, I would have gone, oh my God, I'm in shock, don't give me that again. But the relief it took from me, the anxiety and the social awkwardness was gone.
Yeah.
And within minutes I was up on a chair dancing to Come On Eileen.
Yeah.
And I remember what I was wearing and everything, and this was like, oh my God, this has been my answer for years. This is amazing. And obviously, get me another one.
Yeah.
Get me another one. And I swear to God, I just thought I was the belle of the ball. Like, I was the funniest woman going, and it was, Jesus. I mean, I felt like doing an announcement, like public announcement, as in, is this what it's like to drink? Is this, all my anxiety was gone?
What else did drink give you that you didn't have? Like, for me, it gave me confidence.
Oh yeah.
I had loads of confidence after drink. I couldn't talk to girls before that. I couldn't even say hello. I was so shy. But I had a drink in me. It was like all that went out the window. The confidence was there, the self-esteem, the bravado, all these different things that I didn't have. But then when I didn't have a drink, I was back to square one.
Yeah. I couldn't wait to tell my school friends, girls I would have grown up with. I said, I had a drink and we'll go out in Clarny now. We'd go out in Clarny every weekend and we'd a ball. Like, I was drinking normally at the start. And, I wouldn't want to drink the next day. And then I went to college in Limerick and I was doing, going out to Trinity rooms and crawling in the next day with a hangover, doing my lectures and everything. But what happened to me then was I finished college in 2008 and there was a big recession. And I know go in May, and you see it was hard to get a job, and I was coming out of media, like I wanted to work in radio or TV, and I thought like that, I don't know, 2FM were going to call looking for me, Joe Duffy was going to be on the phone, do you want to work for me? But that wasn't the way with it, because it's a very hard industry to get into. But you see, I felt kind of the world owed me something, because I was after doing 2 degrees in media, and why isn't this happening? And sure, like the world was falling apart with the recession, and I started to get bitter as in, oh, like this is ridiculous, like why is this happening my year? Like, I was meant to be going up to RT, working in RT, and I just started slipping into like a really bad headspace, a big downer, and I'd get up and go, and I kind of was just doing random jobs, like sticking at jobs every couple of months, and I was doing a bit of work for my mum and dad, and sure.
What age were you then?
I was around 22, 23, and then before I knew it, like the drinking was creeping in a bit more, and then the home drinking was starting.
You were starting to notice at that age?
Yeah, at that age, yeah. I suppose I was living in Cork for a while on my own, and then I would know that I'd come home from work and I would be buying all cans in Tesco and stuff and drinking on my own. And I thought nothing of it for a while, but it was in quiet. And when you're drinking on the quiet or doing something in the quiet, it's not good.
And what way were you left feeling after? For example, some people drink and they just pass out and they wake up next morning or during the night.
If there was something that I was dreading to do during that day, if I had to contact one or something, like the smallest thing would be a big ordeal.
Yeah.
Like even sending a text message or ringing someone or paying a bill online, or it was like I couldn't do it. I didn't have the energy to do it. Yeah. But then if I had to drink, I'd do it, or if I had to ring someone, not that necessarily I want to ring them drunk, but stuff like that. And then I wasn't drinking to pass out, it was to take the edge off. Yes. I'd be thinking, like back in the day, if it was the case I'd go to work and go to the pub during the day for a drink. Do you know those days you could do that? No, I didn't have those days. But like, I was thinking, geez, I'd love to go away there at lunchtime and go have a couple of drinks and take the edge off. That's all I wanted. I was on edge and I needed a release. And then what started to happen was, I didn't know I wanted to drink the next morning. This whole thing wanting to drink, I thought like there was something wrong with me that I want to drink the next morning. Am I going mad? And then I suppose I couldn't keep up the rent and all that kind of stuff, and I moved back home. And I started then, and I look back and I'm ashamed of my life, I started drinking at home in my bedroom in like my parents' home.
Did they know that there was an issue with this?
They had thought things weren't good. There was, things weren't good. And I suppose I was kind of, say, oh no, everything's fine, it's fine. And with addiction comes lies. You know what I mean? They're just,
part of it.
You know what I mean? They're related. It comes with it. But like they'd even come up to my room and I'd be drinking in my room. Like, you were drinking. You'd nearly have a can in your hand going, no, I swear to God I wasn't.
Yeah.
Like, do you know the way we're so...
You think you're hiding it, but
and you'd be having the chewing gums and the mouthwash and everything, and... I mean, would you look back?
Things planked all over the house then.
This is it.
There's bottles and...
This is it. The can be hidden and the smell of drink out of the room. But like, I look back and I'm like, I must be easy on myself as well, but I'm like, Jesus, the absolute disgrace, the cheek of myself for a household that really doesn't drink.
just before you started to drink, what kind was your personality? Were you outgoing,
Outgoing,
happy,
yeah.
chatty? And I suppose, like, the way you're speaking now, the way you're drinking went, like, you needed something to take the edge off it. What do you think kind of caused, what do you think caused that? Maybe where you were happy, chirpy, but then maybe a few years later you actually needed, could you have done all these things that you needed to take the edge off before handy enough, or was it just, did something happen in between that period?
No, I think I kind of got used to the feeling. It was giving me that bit of more extra, confidence.
Yeah.
And then I started losing a bit of myself because I started slipping into a bit of a depression. And I want to be very careful using the word depression, you know what I mean? Because, when someone's down and stuff like that, it's kind of two differences. When I look back, it's kind of like I was so depressed in myself and the anxiety was so bad. But it was like, you see, I was known for having the big bubbly personality and I needed to be that Brenda. And I was trying to be that Brenda, but I was losing myself and it was killing me. And you see, that you will understand this.
Yeah.
I thought everyone only liked the funny Brenda and the gas woman Brenda, and I thought no one would like the real, not that I'm quiet, but the other Brenda. I was like, why would someone want me there? Because they only like me because I'm good crack.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't leave anyone really get to know the real because I thought they wouldn't like me.
Yeah, because you wearing a few different masks, so
Yeah.
So when you're in different environments, they're around different people, you were able to wear the different masks.
Yeah.
And when you're drinking, then the drink, it just allows you to wear the mask that everybody enjoys being around, that person that's bubbly, chirpy. But I suppose what really happens to us is with drink, like from the moment you started drinking, the moment I started to drink, the trauma that the drinking caused in my life started to take away a part of me as well. Do you know the fear the next morning? Do you know the fear?
Yeah.
The shame?
Oh.
The shame of what I'm after doing the night before. Even having to walk down the street and seeing someone that I'd done something the night before or the week before. All that has an effect on the body and the head because you're thinking about what you've done and you've this trapped emotion in your body, fear or shame. And it's like that, all that adds to the anxiety and you do get a little bit depressed because you're slowly kind of spiraling down into that kind of place of depression, and then the only thing that kind of helps you to survive is more drink.
Yeah.
Suppresses it, yeah.
Yeah.
Would you?
I think I was probably dead inside.
Yeah.
And like the old Brenda was dead and it just was eating me up, you know what I mean? And then I suppose I was trying to drink to cut, like just to get there. But when it's not working anymore.
Yeah.
And when it's going wrong. And then I remember I suppose there was hints that maybe you needed help. But sure, I was only 23, 24. Sure, I couldn't be an alcoholic.
Yeah.
How could I be an alcoholic? And back in 2008, 2009, there was no, like, Facebook was barely around. We're still Bebo days.
Yeah.
And it was back then, if you were an alcoholic, you were a drug addict, like, shame on you. Like, there was no, do you know the way now it's kind of like someone will come on here and everyone's like, wow, they turned their life around.
Yeah.
But like, back
then
then
it was
my
different.
mentality was, and I was from a little village. Sure, I knew no one around there who had a drink problem. And it's like,
You wouldn't hear much about
No.
it either
But you
back
see,
then.
do you know the understanding of an alcoholic was? Do you know what my understanding of an alcoholic was? Someone that was on the streets drinking.
exactly.
That's how I was taught.
Same.
Growing up. And they're alcohol. The word they used to use back then. They're only winos.
Yeah.
Sure, I didn't know
Yeah.
what that word meant.
Like,
I
and-
thought that, but I understood wino to be the same word as an alcoholic because
Yeah.
it was just they couldn't stop drinking.
Yeah.
I didn't understand being an alcoholic wasn't just being on the streets drinking. It was a variation of so many different things. Do you know what I mean, Tommy? Do you know?
Yeah.
We were alcoholics before we even touched a drug.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
remember my
like
first
an
time.
alcoholic, for me, was a wino. Remember, you'd hear wino and in town and busted up faces and drinking cans. That's what I
Yeah.
thought, because I knew
Same.
no different, And but, I remember at a young age, if I saw someone drunk and they were falling and wobbling towards me, the fear I was getting myself over that, it used to be a horrible feeling. Like.
Yeah.
And once I put a drink into my own mouth, then it was like,
And it's
I
funny.
forgot about all that.
Because even every time that I do a lot of running over in London, and obviously in every city in the world there's homeless people. Every time I run past or walk past someone, I swear to God, every time I say that could be me. And I say I'm one of the lucky ones.
Yeah.
But you know what you have, I have, and he have today? We've an understanding how close that could have been us. And the other side of it is this, right? We also know how easy it is for one of us to be on the street in a tent, you know, homeless because
Yeah.
of addiction. And we can look at people that are on the street or that are inside in town, lost and destroyed from alcoholism, drug addiction, that something has happened to them in their lives.
Yeah.
And they need either drink or drugs to be able to escape from the pain of that. And we can have that bit of compassion and empathy towards that person because of our own experiences. And we're blessed with that.
Yeah.
We are completely blessed with that. So bring you back there to 2008, Brenda, your description of the alcoholic, how different it was.
Yeah, I suppose, like, all my friends were getting married and they were settling down with boyfriends. And it's funny because I was actually seeing someone at the time, and I was mad about him, to be honest. And like, he just didn't know, he just couldn't handle me with the drink. And it's sad because, do you know, like, you look at that person could have been, do you know, and I get upset about it now because,
That's okay. It's okay.
do you know, you'd like look at the stuff, it's so old for me, and like, I'm happy on my own now, like, I'm very happy on my own, I don't want children or anything like that, but you know, you're kind of like, and like, I have a big thing with like my addiction, Steve, you know, the way it stole so much from our lives, and I suppose like, it's so like, I often think like the person that was, you know, the love of my life, and it was just the addiction, and you know, you look back on that, and you know, there with someone else now, and like, I'm happy on my own, and I'm looking now, look, we weren't a match, but like, it's like, it takes everything from you. Like, if my family weren't as supportive, you know, but it takes everyone. It's gone. And I suppose my thing then, leading up with the drinking, like, my first rock bottom came in 2010. Like, it was coming. I kept messing up. I kept, like, stupid stuff. And then it was the All-Ireland 2010 up in Croke Park, and Cork were playing down. And they were in the All-Ireland, and like, it was the football, and I was big into the football, and it was just, it's hard to get a ticket to the All-Ireland, and sure, my dad had gone out of his way to get me a ticket. And I remember they had told me, look, I'd gone up to Dublin the night before because I wanted to go out in Coppers, as you do, and they had said, look, please don't be drinking the next day, you know, before we go to the match, because I was sitting with my mother, and I was meeting them and everything. And then I remember the next morning I needed a drink to quench the anxiety again. And I know they told me do not drink, and something that day told me, like, something's going to happen to you today. And I went into a pub just off Grafton Street, and I remember I ordered a pint of Bulmers. I used to drink Bulmers. And I remember took a few sups, and I went to the toilet, came out, took another sup, and then as soon as I got out at the bar, it was like a spiking incident. I felt like I was spiked. Within the odd time, I'm like, was my body giving up or something? Something was going on, and I would be into, like, I don't know, divine interventions and epiphanies, and I'm big into signs and spirituality. But I remember walking up to Croke Park and outside O'Gill's bar, and sure, my mother was waiting for me, and I was an absolute disgrace. She couldn't even hold me up. I was all over the place, and you know, I just, looking back, to think that my father went out of his way to get me a ticket, like, he was big into the GA as well, you know, and then that, obviously, I can't remember if he was there and he'd seen me, but the whole match, my poor mother was having to hold me up, do you know, like, and it just killed me. What an absolute disgrace I was. And then we were inside the Ashling Hotel coming home, waiting before the train. I think the train was delayed, and I remember just being so upset with myself, like, as in, like, what are you doing? You're an absolute holy show. You're 25. What the fuck is wrong with you? And I just asked her for help. To ask for help, I was like, I need help. I need someone to. I just can't go on. I can't go. The guilt of ruining just the day and everything. It's just. I think it's the thought of my father getting the ticket and all that. It's just. I know it's just stuff like that, and I let them down. It was like I let them down again.
But I tell you one thing, like, for the woman that you are today and the stuff that you're doing in your own life, like, sometimes stuff like that has to happen, Brenda. And that, like, I look at my life, and I'm just going to give you an example. I can feel your emotion from here, and my heart is here with you. You know, my heart is going out to you. But I look at my life now, and something happened there recently, and I looked. There was a lot going on, and I looked back in my life, and I looked at all the fucking shit that happened from the moment I stepped foot on this planet. And I believe that everything in my life that has happened since a young age has given me the strength to cope. Like, the toughest times in my life weren't in addiction, they were in recovery. In addiction, I had this crutch of alcohol and drugs to keep me going and soothe me and keep me away. In recovery, you have nothing but yourself.
Yeah.
Nobody really understands what's going on internally if you're only for another addict or an alcoholic. But it's you have to get through it. You alone, me alone, Tommy alone, Tony alone. We have to understand how we work and how we can get through it. And all these tough times, they make you stronger.
Yeah.
And that was one of your tough times, but it was also one of these things that added to your rock bottom. Sometimes it's not just one thing happens, it's a number of different things happen, and they just kind of, like, I can't remember the amount of times I used to be praying. I'd be praying inside home. I mean, literally, God, please, why can't I stop?
Yeah.
Why can't I stop? I'd stop praying then, and I'd be back in the bag, or I'd have a bottle, and I'd be feeling sorry for myself again. I'd be back. I could be doing this for 3 or 4 days, you know. So even though your mother and father were there and they were upset in the moment, but like, they're probably saying, can you imagine how proud they are now?
No, and I know they are. I suppose, oh God, just I think the shame of letting them down like that. And 100%, all the things that have happened, I said to you on the phone there like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I don't think you would either, Tommy. Everything that's happened, would you change it because of the person you are today?
No, definitely not.
You can't. I would never change anything that happened to me, because anything that happened to me, I would never change it.
No.
Never. The only thing I would change is the pain that I caused for other people.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing I would change.
Same here, yeah.
All the stuff that happened to me, I couldn't change it, because all that stuff has done something to change something inside me, to want a new life and a better life, and to know that there was something wrong with my life.
Yeah.
And the growth comes only when you stop fighting.
Yeah.
I had to fighting all my fucking life.
Yeah.
Fighting him at home, fighting in school, fighting my mum, fighting out the streets.
I never won anyway.
Yeah, I'd say that now, Tommy.
I often got the 1 or 2 belts into the back of the head.
I never won.
I have a lump here on the back of my head.
Tommy.
He opened me with a glass ashtray inside the house one day.
You definitely deserved it.
Yeah, but it's that kind of it's the stopping of fighting, and I had to learn how to stop fighting, because fighting kept me alive. Fighting, that's how I survived, by fighting. And when I realised that I didn't have to fight this thing up here anymore, and all this stuff going on in here for me, my life changed. That wasn't easy, no, Brenda. When I say things like this, I always say, this took a lot of hard work, and I was in a lot of pain. I spent many nights crying on the floor on my knees, feeling not good enough for my family, not good enough for Nicole, not good enough for the kids. What am I even doing here? I'm going to fucking ruin their lives by giving out this really negative energy inside the house. You know, they'd be better off without me. That's how I felt about myself.
Yeah.
But I had to also allow that frame of thinking and those emotions flow through me, because I was releasing conditioned emotions from my past and the beliefs that I had about myself. I had some fantastic people now in my life as well, helping me along the way, and I mean people that I will be forever grateful for the rest of my life, you know. But that's how we work.
Yeah.
You know, we never change what happened to us, but you change what we done to others.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's the great thing about making amends to people in recovery. When you go up to them, and you know what most of them say to you? I'm just happy you're doing well.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm just happy you're doing well now. And that's it. Isn't it?
That's what matters.
You know, and we grow from that, and it's just it's so simple. So how did it continue after that?
So within a week of that, I was inside in Brewery. Yeah, in rehab. My mother she sorted it out for me, but she tricked me into it. And I know you'll get this now. So Brewery's 12 weeks alcohol, and then for drugs is 20 weeks. But obviously I didn't, there was no real kind of internet now to be searching up these places, so I didn't know where I was going. So it was Brewery anyway in County Limerick, and I thought I was going for 2 or 3 days. and sure I was after packing laptop, DVD player, little Nokia 8210, swimming togs. So Tom was going on a retreat. They were going to...
We're fucking delusional,
Oh no,
aren't we?
he will get this right. I thought they were going to teach me how to drink properly.
Yeah.
I
Do
was
you know what I
actually,
mean?
I was-
Hands up!
Here, lad, we'll put you in here for an NCT.
Yeah.
And you'll be grand by the time you get out.
I'll do it properly then when I get out.
Yeah.
I was down there for 2 weeks myself.
I know, yeah.
Where, did
Yeah.
you get kicked out? No.
No.
Did you leave?
What? No. I went there for all the wrong reasons
see,
at
this
the
is
time.
it.
I
What
went
year
down
did you go?
08.
All right, I was 2
And,
years after you.
I went down.
Did you, Tommy?
Yeah.
Did you? We can't remember.
I can't even remember.
I
getting
know.
on to treatment.
Right. I went
Christ.
down, right?
I spent... Go
So
on, I
you
didn't
know you
finish.
do a week in detox.
Oh, I
and
love
you're meant
that.
to be clean going in.
Oh, you weren't.
I wasn't. I was smoking heroin that morning going down.
Yeah.
So I got in anyway. So a week came. I was sick. Like you're meant
Sick
to.
coming off it.
I was still sick. I was fully sick, and I knew I was coming out of detox tomorrow. I went up to the doctor with a big hood up into, and I was
know
rattling.
the section was a
Yeah.
glimpse. Yeah.
So I
know
went
where you're
into
going.
him. I said, Doctor, I can't go up the stairs because you go upstairs, you're up at 6:30 and you have to work.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't work. I was in a bad way. And I said, you're going to have to do something with me. I was shaking on the chair, and he gave me an extra week. He goes, right, I'll leave you there for an extra week. He gave me something anyway. What I was pretending now as well, shaking. He gave me a tablet, right? I went back down to the detox. I says, I'm to get a tablet off the doctor. I took the tablet. I walked halfway down the corridor and I just went, boom.
Oh, yeah.
I collapsed. Whatever he gave me, I was acting well anyway because he gave me some strong tablet.
Jesus.
And I was there for a week, another week. And I went upstairs. And upstairs, a fella comes round at 6 o'clock in the morning with a round
Yeah.
thing and this bong outside your door.
6
He
a.m.
done that the first morning. I says, I'm going home. So at the time, my Uncle Peggy got arrested, so passed away on the day.
Oh.
So I came back that day, then sure, it was head back.
Oh, sure,
straight.
like as you were saying there now, the first week I was on Librium and I'd never dabbled in the tablets.
Mm.
And sure, this again was, Jesus, this is great. Again, getting sober is grand. There's no bother here.
Yeah.
And I was on it. Well, when I finally said to my mother, look, I'll do 3 or 4 days. And then she was like, all right. And she just left anyway. And I got my head around it. But the first week, oh, sure, I was delighted. And you see, the men and the women, you can't really mix.
Yeah.
But of
Passing
course...
letters up and down the
Yeah.
corridor.
Oh, I was mad for some fella from Limerick. I still remember his name, and I still remember if he walked down O'Connell Street in Limerick, I'd be like, "There you are."
Yeah.
And you can get thrown out for that.
Yeah,
But of
yeah.
course, you don't look at the boys. Don't be doing it. Like we go to mass and you'd see them in.
Yeah.
Mass was the best day ever.
Yeah.
Mass every day. Couldn't wait to go to mass. Oh, I swear to God, no hair straighteners or anything. And we'd be trying to sneak in hair straighteners because of mass for the boys, and
Yeah.
you know the way
Yeah.
you're so codependent.
Yeah.
And you're looking, going, he's like me, you know. Sure, we're all thinking the same
Yeah.
here now.
Oh, you're marrying
Oh!
whoever's down there. The letters, like.
Oh, like I was in love with your
You're
man.
moving to Dublin or Limerick
And who
or.
was running? Was the nuns running?
None,
Nuns, yeah,
Sister Concilio lady, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
walking.
yeah.
Sister Agnes is down there.
Yeah.
Sister Agnes was running there. Sister Concilio, there's other place. I had the pleasure of meeting Sister Concilio. I must say, a walking saint.
Yeah.
Some people find Cunvera difficult because of spirituality, but I tell you, they saved my life.
Yeah.
I do believe so. I know I saved myself, but they have a big part to play, and especially for people who can't afford, we'll say, big treatments in 8 or 9 grand. You
Yeah,
know, the way
yeah.
that you can do it there. And I tell you, and I think if there's anyone listening who might be seeking help, there, it's not confrontational. You learn to love yourself again, because you know yourselves. You go in there and you're feeling
broken.
like you're broken, and
yeah.
you hate yourself, the hatred, and you learn to love yourself. But getting back to the first week, whatever, I did that. But when I went in, I was looking at them all. I was sure he's after losing the wife, and he's after gambling the house, and
Yeah.
the
I'm not
children
as
aren't
bad
talking
as
to him.
him.
And I was like, I'm not as bad as him. She was like, I'm not like him at all. Sure, I haven't done much. I've only hurt the mother and father and the family at home. So I'm not bad. And sure, I've done nothing really. Like, I've nothing bad and no criminal convictions and nothing. And I was kind of, I'm not one of these people at all. Sure, I couldn't be an alcoholic. But then I tell you, I was after coming off the Librium, right? As they say, like, getting sober is easy, staying sober is the hard part. Then the realisation when you're on nothing and you've been messing around with drink for years, and then the sober, I was like, oh Jesus Christ, how did this happen?
Yeah.
And then we were doing group therapy for a couple of days, and I was like looking around and I wasn't talking. And for a woman that talks, I wasn't talking, but I'll never forget it. I never forget the room. I remember it.
What was going on for you at that stage, like, emotionally?
Oh, in denial. No way.
Was it?
No, well, like, I was a bit, why me? Why I'm so young? I was the youngest one there.
And did you want to take off out of there?
I didn't, you know, there was more of a thing, I'll be killed at home if I do that. I was thinking that.
Yeah.
They never, I was always saying killed at home. They never killed me at home. There was never, like, they never gave out at home, but I'd always said, you'll be killed if you do that. I didn't have the guts to do it, really. Do you know, I was going to stick by the rules. Now I was trying the all notes at the boys, and I'm not sure that I shift some fella inside the kitchen or something. I don't know. Now it's coming back to me, but anyway.
In the
we
windows.
chanced that, but I never forget though, there was a day and there was a realisation that I was in the back of my head going, you're say it, no, say it, and I couldn't. I was like, and then the round came to me and I wasn't talking, and then it was like an epiphany. I genuinely think it was a divine intervention. And I remember just going, my name's Brenda and I'm an alcoholic, and I just broke down. I broke down.
That's your first time really
Oh yeah, it was my first time. Acceptance.
Yeah.
Because they were saying stuff for a while, I have to drink in the morning. And I was like, I have to do that too, I'm not going mad.
Yeah.
And I was stashing away cans in the Hoover. You know what I mean? I was stashing vodka bottles in the bins and they were found. And I said, Jesus Christ. And then it was like, I identified. And then it was like, these are my people. Like, I'm not the only crazy person here.
Because we can tell ourselves we're the only person going through all that. There's no one else like me. And I remember going into meetings on early recovery saying, he definitely knows me anyway.
Yeah.
He's talking about me over there. They must have told him about me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you're like, nah, something's going on here. He's definitely got told something.
Yeah.
Is he focusing on me here?
It's paranoia.
The person that's after taking you to the meeting, you saying, I fucking know.
Yeah.
I have to ring them beforehand and tell them.
Yeah. This is it. Yeah. And then we got shipped off then. We swear no, we were cattle or something. We got shipped off up to Fernand's. See, I was having a ball in Brewery because the men were there and I was in love with your man. Having a ball, think I was going to marry him, the codependency, and we'll be great. And you're taught in there, like, codependency, bad idea. And then you're like, red flag, yes, give it to me. Red flag, I was all about a red flag. But then we got shipped up to Fernand's and it was all women's. And I had no idea about that part. We're talking into the minibus one day. And I thought we were going to retreat maybe or something. No, pack your bags, you're going up to Fernand's just outside Macroom there.
So is Fernand's another section of
Yeah,
Brewery?
Cunvera. Yeah, it's part of
You go to Brewery for the detox, and then you go up there.
And the men stay there, but the
where's
women go.
Cumura then? Is that
Cunvera is like the organisation, and there's like 5 or 6 treatment facilities. Breweries in Limerick, but then
Cunvera is way up the country somewhere.
Well, no, Cunvera is like the organisation. There's around 6 or 7 different Cunveras. There's one in Galway, Athy, Limerick, Cork, and then I'm sure there's another one somewhere else. So they've other kind of halfway houses as well.
And they have there. I know a few people that went through their halfway houses and they're flying.
No, I must huge credit.
Unreal.
And especially to one of the counsellors in there, Michael Gearan. But
very good, Michael.
Oh, he's amazing. He's amazing. So we up to Fernand's, I got the land of my life up there because it was all women. And this is the thing now as well. I came from Little Village, and then I was put in with, we'll say, women who were on heroin. Sure, I didn't know what that was. There was women who were sex workers. Yeah. There was women who were in prison. Sure, I didn't come across these people. And then there was a small bit of, again, sure, I don't know, like,
I shouldn't be here again.
A bit of, should I be here? But you know what, after I was like, no, this is addiction. It takes no prisoners. And you know, it was the biggest learning curve or eye-opener, because do you know the way we all judge? And I suppose the old Brenda would have been like, Jesus Christ, what's going on? No, salt of the earth people. Yeah. You know, and they just went through a bad spell of it. And some of the most decent, nicest women that I'm still friends with to this day. And it really teaches you, addiction really teaches you not to judge.
Yeah, definitely not.
You know, not to judge. So I did 15 weeks in total. I did an extra 3, and
for somebody that thought they were going in for 3 days.
3 days teach me how to drink properly. And
like you don't want to go home.
Come here,
when you get well in treatment, you don't want to go home.
You're afraid, and then I got right holy.
You're in a bubble and you're safe, and you're going out to that big bad world.
This is it. And then I was going around with the rosary beads and everything.
Yeah. When you went home?
Oh, well, you have to do the rosary every day, and you still have to go to mass. I was in charge of the altar wine mass. Because we did mass every day. I was like the altar girl, and I was in charge of the altar wine.
I'll tell you a good story.
You rank it or something? No.
I was the choir boy in the Midlands prison.
No way.
Was, yeah.
I was in the choir. I was on up the top singing the songs with the guitar. There you go now.
And imagine what way
What
I
did you
felt.
do?
Tommy was in the
I
back.
was like, oh no. Oh,
Jesus
wait.
Christ.
He was
Oh my
practicing
God.
the guitar. everything.
Isn't it hilarious?
Faith has a big part
This
in
is
the
it.
recovery, and it doesn't have to be about a religion. It's just about faith, believing a power greater
This is
than
it.
yourself.
Yeah. Oh, I was gone. I was proud as punch going up with there the wine, and like as in, I was taking responsibility. You know, I was in charge of the wine, and they'd be like, "I've got the keys for the wine," and I'd be like, "No, giving no on the wine now." It's a pure like I'm going to be a good girl in here
Yeah.
now. And then I got out anyway, went home to Ballydesmond, and then I know, you know, you're trying to rebuild your life again, and I had no job as such. But then, long story short, my dad had suggested, "Why don't you go and be a teacher?" And look, to keep him happy, I was like, "All right," so I would, because I had a degree in arts, and I was like, "I'll do a geography higher diploma," but I wasn't happy doing it, and I was like, "Look, I feel useless enough," because I was like, the media thing, leave it off. And back earlier in those years, I wanted to go to London. That was my dream, but like I was like, sure, I can't. I'm useless. That dream is gone. You're getting a bit too old now. So there was a night out in Kilkenny. It was a hen night, and I was doing the fool around the street now, and I was 3 years off the drink. It was 2013. And I remember I was just doing the clown on the street, and I met these two guys from Northern Ireland, and they were videoing me because I was just doing the fool and making them laugh. And they were like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I goes, "Oh, I'm going training there to be a teacher." They were like, "You should work in the media. Like, you're hilarious. You should be on TV or radio." And again, it was like, bang, something happened. And to see if I get something like that, I get nearly possessed.
Yeah.
Whereas I remember running to my sister, kind of going, "Julie, I'm going to go back for the media thing. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go back and get a job on radio. I have to do it. I have to do it after everything that's after happening to me." She was like, "All right, yeah." On the way the bus down back to Ballydesmond, telling the whole bus, I didn't even know some of the women. I was like, "I'm going to do it." "All right, yeah." Ran home to tell the mother. And she was like, "Well, do whatever you need to do, girl, we'll help you." So then, speaking of holiness, I was like, "I'll get into 96 FM now." And Neil Prindiville was on 96 FM at the time. I goes, "I'll get in there now by the end of the year." And they were talking June now. So I give up that summer anyway. I finished college, I finished my degree, and I went into Life FM. Do you know Life FM?
Yeah.
The
South side,
yeah, it's a
isn't it?
Christian station. But I went in there I said, "I'll go in here now and I'll learn the trade, how to edit and do all this kind of stuff," as Tony's doing here.
Yeah.
And because when you go in doing work experience, you know yourselves, if you're going in work experience anywhere, you annoy them. If you're able to do a job, if you take initiative and you go in there knowing, "I know what to do," they'll way more mass than you. So I learned the trade, and I was praying with them as well inside there, and I was like, "Oh my God." And I remember sitting inside there going, one day, I was like praying, one day this is going to pay off and I'm going to be living in London, girl. I'm going to be living in London. And like, they were born again Christians, and I was joining them in and praying with them and everything, and I was doing all sorts, and there I was like, it's going to pay off. But then I remember I got work experience 96 FM, and Neil Prindiville was on at the time, and I went into a show, and Emer and Cullum, who were the producers at the time, were there, and I walked in, and I'd say they thought, "Just another work experience girl, yeah." And they're, "Hi, yeah, how are you?" And they were doing something on Rykeen, and I said, "I'll go downtown there and do vox pops, go for people with the mic." And they're like, "But it's very quiet now, it's a Tuesday morning." He goes, "I'll get people to talk to me, all right, don't worry."
Yeah.
I ran up, I nearly had people up by the neck going, talking to it about Roy Keane. And I remember going around Merchant's Quay, and I ran back up the hill, just on up Patrick's Hill, and I went in and I edited it, and Neil was still on air, and they played it on air because Neil loves a good vox pop. He loves a good vox pop. He loves voices, different accents. Played it, and he never met me when he walked in. He was like, "Where'd the vox pop come from?" And Emer and Colin were, "Oh, that was Brenda." And then from then on, I got a job in 96 FM doing freelance shifts, and then he went to Red FM, and I got a full-time job with PJ. And everything was great for a couple of years. It was great, and I was a producer on the opinion line, and everything was great. But you know what? Then I was off the drink, but the anxiety was coming in again.
You going to meetings?
I was going to meetings. But then the anxiety was coming in, and I dropped off in the meetings a bit. Nothing other than probably just life getting too busy. You know, if you miss one a week, and then they just kind of...
Yeah.
They fall.
They fall.
Back.
Yeah.
And I know many meetings, many chances, no meetings, no chance.
Yeah.
And I mean, at the start, I was going twice a day. I mean, I was in and out of Grattan Street non-stop. Like, I couldn't get enough. I'd be in Grattan Street, I'd be up in Toker.
Yeah.
I knew them all. I was going in and out, and I couldn't get enough of them. But then I probably was coming too dependent, of course, the addict hit.
Yeah.
And then my only friends were people in addiction. And, I was dependent on that. And I was like, Jesus, why can't you get this? Why can't you just be normal?
Yeah.
Why can't it why is it all or nothing with you? And it is to this day, there's still...
That's everything.
Oh,
that can be with everything. It can be fucking work.
yeah.
It can be food. It can be
Everything.
Everything like
Yeah.
across the board. So we have to be vigilant with everything that we go at.
Everything.
You know, so like it's amazing. So continue about
So
the
then
meetings, Brenda.
what happened was the anxiety it just kept coming, and then I think I'd around 8 years off the drink, and then I decided, the most stupid idea of my life, do you know what? I'll go to the doctor and I'll get some Xanax.
Okay.
Right, and I know yourself, someone with an addicted personality, getting a mood all drink substance isn't a great idea. But I said to myself, do you know the way now, lads? I'll be fine. I'll be grand. I went to a doctor and I never disclosed that I was actually an alcoholic.
That was
The manipulation, and like, do you know, you don't have to be active in your addiction, but like your head is active in a way, like that. That head was, the devil was there now.
Yeah.
And I knew it going in there that I was like, this is all wrong.
If you're high, if your gut is telling you have to tell the doctor, and you're not telling the doctor, there's the addiction for you.
There was, sure, when I never forget going into the chemist getting the script, and you're seeing the white tablets, and you're like, here we go now again. This
Lovely.
is Tommy, lovely. You
Tommy's.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, this
And
the
you're
way
like,
it was.
This will take it away now again. This will take away that feeling I just don't want to work on. That I just will bother Barry now and not work on it, because sure, I don't want to be bothering anyone and telling them I'm anxious, because you know a lot of the time the sad thing is I'm anxious. We all get anxiety, you know, and you're like, why did I bother saying that? Or I'm a bit down today. Should we all get down? You know, the way people can be dismissive.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't have been any family members. It might be the odd friend. And should we all get anxious? You know, and you're kind of like, can't say anything, no, because they're comparing, you know, they're kind of dismissing you. So I was like, I started taking them, and before 3 months I say it was escalating, that I was finding people who had them and weren't taking them, and you will understand.
Yeah.
How do you have these and not taking these? It's baffling.
Yeah.
You have these in your house and you're not taking them. Are you off your game?
Yeah.
And of course that was brilliant, and I was taking them. But what happened was, and you'll understand how things spiral, I was at a house party and I had no Xanax, and I didn't want to leave them down at the house party, because on the time I was, as they say, I was at a good big Snapchat was big at the time, and I was making people laugh on Snapchat, and people knew me, Brenda from Snapchat, Brenda's Bits, and I was living up to the Brenda's Bits, and I didn't want to let them down because I was very anxious, but I wanted to go over and probably entertain and, you know, give them a show, a bit like a boost.
Do you think you're a people pleaser, Brenda?
Oh, I would be, yeah. Yeah, I noticed it way more, but that was it. But I tell you how much of a people please. I was over at that house party, and just to people please, to entertain, I took a drink.
Okay.
And I hadn't drank in over 8 years.
Scary, isn't it?
Because I had to get rid of the anxiety. Because why did they want me there? If I wasn't funny, did they want the quiet anxious Brenda? Who could I go to? I came over, I'm a bit anxious here now tonight. They wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
And I tell you, there was a cigarette. I was off cigarettes for years with a cigarette in my mouth within 2 minutes.
With the drink.
And everything was gone with the drink and the cigarette.
How fast did it escalate?
I'd say, tell you now, Timmy, the next day I was all right, and I was like, I'll handle this. And then every weekend it was creeping in. There was sneaky cigarettes being had, and the all drinking at home was coming. And I was still living from Cork. I was still living in Cork then. I was working in Red FM. But I tell you what happened. I remember being a judge for Miss Cork, and I think I was all right for judging it. But I think after I was an absolute holy show. And I remember I wasn't long in Red FM, and I was going back working with Neil, and I remember people had to like help me get sober, and I remember dreading going into Red FM, because I was like, oh my God, they're all going to be talking about me, you know, the shame.
Yeah.
And this like, I'm back there now, new, and I left them all down, I'm absolutely just, and like, the thing is, they didn't know about my drink thing. You know, they had no idea, no one really knew about my drink story, no one knew, because I didn't think I'd ever tell the story, because, you know, I thought 2010 I'd be sober for the rest of my life, that I wasn't going to, you know, fall again. I couldn't, because you think you're invincible sometimes. Maybe I got too cocky, you know? And then I think another time happened, it escalated so bad then. I was a judge in another event in the Rochestown Park Hotel, and I'd been taking Xanax and alcohol.
With the drink?
Yeah. We can talk now. And I remember being there, I remember taking pictures at the start, but it was escalating big time, and I was so drunk, and it's a shame of my life now. I had to be in front of, like, was it 400 or 500 people? I had to be, like, taken out. I was so drunk, and I was up the top table.
That adds to the rock bottom again.
That was with this still. I kept going. I kept going.
Yeah.
Kept going in, and then that night, actually, when I was walking out,
How were you functioning? How were you functioning with your job? With
I don't know how I was managing. I would never go in and drink on the job.
yeah.
I never did that, but I will say I wasn't present at work. But you think you are.
No,
Do
you're
you know?
sure up in your head. You're thinking
Oh,
about
you
taking
think?
drugs. Like
I
you're
sure
thinking
thought I
about
was doing great
tablets.
radio producing. Thought I was doing the best work of my life. You know, that's how cunning it is. But I got so drunk. But it was so. When I got home that night, I remember someone telling me that someone was there. She's Sandra Murphy, a good friend of mine. She was so kind to me that time. And you know Audrey who does the tanning guru, Audrey O'Neill?
Yeah.
She's up the north side. The two, they were so good to me that weekend, but the part they played in it. When I went home that night, I remember someone saying that the person who was emceeing it on the night said in front of the 500-600 people, "Oh, Brenda's just gone away. They're not Alcoholics Anonymous." And everyone laughed. Okay. And I heard that the next day. And then I was getting abusive messages the next day from people, what an absolute disgrace you are, and you're a show, and you're just horrific stuff. And sure, what did I do? Drank. And then the next day, I couldn't go to work. It killed me so much. And I took Xanax with alcohol. And the next thing I knew, I was in hospital bed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was something that never happened before.
No, that hadn't happened. That I had accidentally overdosed. Yeah. And
do you think it was an accident?
I do, yeah. And what upsets me about the accidental overdose was because you'd often hear people accidentally overdosing, and you're kind of like, oh, really? Do you know?
Because there's been times like that I've used large quantities of drugs with the hope that I would never woke up because of the pain that I was in. You know, and my pain was always in relation to the shit that I was causing to people in my life. But like going back to what was just after happening to you went for somebody that had a good life. You were in social kind of groups, and everybody loved you because of your personality.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that's what people do love you for, your personality. But they love you, your family love you for who you are and what they know, and your kindness and just how bubbly you are. But we think we have to work in a certain way for people to love us. And when we actually fuck up then, right, people will jump on the bandwagon to fucking break you.
Oh, yeah.
They will try to break you down. And social media is fantastic for doing that, Brenda.
Oh, big time.
You know, how did you cope with it? Like, I know you were drinking and you were drugging, like, but like lying in that bed after waking up and probably your family around you, okay? Your mother probably around crying, not knowing what's just after happening in your life. How did you feel when you woke up?
I remember my brother was there as well, and do you know what I was waiting for? I was waiting for them to give out to me. As in, you absolute disgrace. And do you know what? Do you know what upset me the most? They were just looking at me like, just so upset for me. And that actually killed me, that they were just upset for me.
Yeah.
Because I think I would have preferred them to go, you absolute mess, look what you've done again. But they were so sorry for me. And my sister, she lives in Abu Dhabi, she was ringing, she wanted to book a flight home. And I was like, you should be hating me. They're just so sad for me. And I felt so bad. And then I was trying to explain inside, because I was inside in CDU, critical department unit. They're giving me these leaflets and everything, because obviously they thought I was going to kill myself. And then having to convince I wasn't trying to kill myself. And that upset me even more, that I got into that condition. And the fact is that Sandra and Audrey, two friends of mine, they didn't know what to do. They didn't know my history, and they ended up telling my mother, like, shit has gone down in Cork. And my mother phoned me that morning in that room in Cork. And if they hadn't told her, would I be here? Yeah. You know?
And how easy can happen. Because someone that's an alcoholic and addict, we drink to oblivion.
Oh.
We actually don't know that the possibility of us fucking killing ourselves by taking too much can happen.
Yeah.
Like, there's mornings I've woke up, no, not intentionally taking to, but just, do you know the way we were with tablets, Tommy? We would swallow like that. And you'd wake up the next morning and you say, you're shaking your head, how the fuck am I still alive? You know, and it was never intentional, but like, I can imagine the amount of people like that have never woke up after just taking large quantities of drugs. It's so easy. It can happen so easily. You know how, like, the after effect of that, with your family. I can imagine how you were feeling, because I was 15 when I had the same incident, but I was handcuffed to a bed
Oh, God.
inside in the regional with a
Jesus.
fucking security guard sitting in the
I
corner.
remember a security guard looking at me too.
Yeah, the security
And I remember
guard,
going, what's he watching me for?
I was brought in for an overdose the night before, and I ended up robbing the fucking hospital out of my head. And then they tried to pour black stuff back my throat
my
to make
God.
me get sick. And I reacted, a load of needles and everything in my socks. There was pins and everything sticking into my soles, my feet.
Jesus.
I was only a young fella. I was found in the driveway of one of the houses in the estate after drinking a bottle of whiskey and a load of my grandmother's tablets I took. But then again, there was no intention. I was just...
Yeah. This is
And
it.
brought out there, my mother just sitting in the chair the next morning and just looking there she was just so upset. Sure, I thought it was nothing. I thought I was laughing and joking. What are you doing here? Go on. Next, all of a sudden, they bring me out to a room and to get a priest to talk to me and then a psychiatrist in another room. Sure, I thought I was great. I thought I was a great boy.
The hard man.
I had something to go home and tell the boys, you know.
Yeah.
I literally didn't even understand how close to death I was.
Yeah.
If I wasn't found by Brendan. Brendan phoned me in the driveway. He used to do a bit of bouncing in the weekends, and he came in at about 4 a.m. and he found me on the floor of the driveway of the house. My nan was after getting her script that morning, and I took every single tablet that was inside her bag. And that's when there was issues even before that. But my point is behind all that bravado that I was showing, when I look back now, I was absolutely lost. You know, I didn't know where. I was lost. I was broken as a child, broken as a teenager. I didn't know where my life was going.
Yeah.
You know, and after that, then it was like they knew there was an issue, and that's when I started going into different treatment centres for next 3 years. You know, for the next 3 years, I was moving around from different treatment centres all over Europe. I went from Ireland to France, and I was around the whole of France because I was so young, running away, and I settled in this one place then in the middle of fucking nowhere in the country. They took my passport, and I see a fella that ran away one day, getting a fucking hiding off the head fella in the treatment centre. And I said, fuck it, I better not do that now because he'll bait the fucking head on me, you know. But he took me under his wing because he see I was young and I was a grafter and I was a good little footballer, and you know, so I was grand. Sorry, I don't know where I was going with that, but I thought it was important to just kind of
absolutely, yeah.
I don't think I've ever spoke about that actually. I've never actually spoke about that before. But how did you how were you actually, if you put yourself into that moment, Brenda, like what was going on for you?
Oh, I think when you said they're lost.
Yeah.
How did I get to this place again? But you know, the worst thing is, like, I remember my mum saying to me, maybe you need to go back to treatment. And I go, no, because I lose my job in Red FM. They can't, no, I can't. Because I was only in there, I wasn't there long. And the shame of it. And I just felt very lost. No self-esteem. No nothing. And do you think I'd learned my lesson after that? Within weeks, again, I was back at it. But you know when you know you're not finished? You know when you know that there's something else going to happen here, but I'll keep going.
I mean, you'll be making excuses.
Do you know, like, as in, I'll stop now. And I said, but I said, I knew something was going to come that was bad. I didn't know what it was. But I kept going then. I suppose that happened in June. And then the following March, I just wasn't present. Like, I lied to them all at work then. What happened? I just said I was off sick. They knew there was something not right. There was rumours going around. You know the way there'd be rumours going around. And you can't control the rumours. And you know, that eats you up then at the time. No, I don't care. Like, and I know I can't control the rumours. What other people think of me is none of my business. You know? But then it was the March 2019 and I was getting sloppy at work. Do you know, I was getting sloppy and I wasn't present. And then I remember being brought into the CEO's office with the financial controller, and I just thought they were giving me a warning or something. But no, it was kind of basically like, we just can't have you here anymore. And lost my job. And I think my job to me was my identity as well. And because I was Brenda from Red FM. Do you know I was Brenda the radio producer? What was I? That's how I thought of myself, that I was only good enough as a radio producer. And that was me, I'm Brenda, but I'm Brenda from Red FM. Or that I'm Brenda from Earth. Do you know there might be someone married to someone, but I'm John Casey's wife. Oh yeah, do you know when you associate something? Because obviously I didn't feel good enough about myself. But that day I lost my job. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. The shame. I remember getting into the car driving home. I was renting a flat in Ballincollig. And I remember there's a little stash of a load of tablets. And I said this to you on the phone to me, and probably Tommy, you might get it as well. I took so many tablets that day. I didn't want to kill myself, but I just didn't want to wake up.
Yeah.
I did not want to wake up. I couldn't. And I said, look, and then it was like, if I do wake up, if I don't wake up, I don't really want to kill myself, but I don't want to wake up. And I think a lot of people might make sense to them, but I think you'll get that.
I get
Definitely.
it anyway.
100%.
I get it. I know he does too. Like, I know a big part of his story towards the end is using the not wake up. And so was mine. I remember walking over to the circuit court one day and I was fucked. Lonely. Just nowhere really to go. And I came down the steps of the courthouse and I looked across the road, and you know the bridge that's just facing you when you're coming out of the courthouse. It's good. Say if you're going up towards the big church, there's a bridge there by the exchange, the old office.
Yes.
Yeah.
It just looked attractive to me. It looked very attractive, and I started to think about going over there and just taking my own life. But going on another bender also looked attractive, and I knew if I went on the bender, I wouldn't feel like this anymore because I'd be stoned and I'd be caught up, you know. But towards the end of my drinking and drugging, that's how my life was. But where it became more attractive even more was when I stopped drinking and drugging and I had to deal with all the stuff, all the emotional stuff from my past, and the shame and the fear and guilt. That's when it really, and I'm going to be very honest with you right now, okay? There's not a person on the planet that hasn't felt like that at some stage. And I mean that.
And that's in addiction or out of addiction.
That doesn't matter. There's not a person on the planet has just said, fucking hell, I can't do this no more.
Yeah.
Because we all go through pain. We all have stuff that goes on for us in our lives that is so difficult that we believe we're the only person on the planet that feels like this, and we're just looking for a way out.
Yeah.
And you know what the answer is? There's no real answer, but the only way to move through stuff like that is to understand it, right? Not to a degree that you go around talking about it, but understand where it's coming from, and just know that you're gonna have days where you're gonna feel like shit. Okay, and on those days your head will be very, very, very negative, and it'll ruminate, and it'll pick things out of your life where you fucked up, and it'll try to judge you, and that's how it works. Life. It's a long time since I had a really bad day, and I'm going to be very honest. You know, when I started off, I had bad days every day for about 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years. And then I'd have good times for a week or so. I'd have a bad day for 2 or 3 days, and then I'd have a month good, and I'd have a week bad, and then it went from I'd have 6 months good, and I'd have a week bad, and no, it's like every day is good.
Yeah.
I still have bad days, but I have the tools to be able to
deal with them,
move through it, you know. And it's not that they're bad days; they're just life. And it's how I judge that day and any given day in life. If I judge it as being bad, it's not good. But if I go into it without any judgment, it's okay.
Yeah.
And I move through it. But I watch myself. I watch my reactions to life, people. And that's where I can make things worse if my reactions to people and life are not good. Yeah. And I react with anger or rage, you know, or something to upset somebody else.
Yeah.
You know, so everybody can relate to you. He can, I can. Tony on the other side, he probably can. There's not a person that I know can't. Do you know, so anybody that judges anybody else for having thoughts like that, listen, needs to probably look at themselves.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you know, because I think we're human beings, and part of it is feeling everything that life has to give us.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. That's one of the most, there's growth in that.
I always think that, like, if I'm having a bad day, I'm like, look, you're building your character building day. That's it. It's a character building day. It's not a bad day. And You have to have the bad days to have the good days.
Yeah.
And like you were saying there to me at the start as well, Jesus Christ, it was like the world was at me. It was like testing. It's testing me now. I'm sober now. Why am I being tested? Why am I being tested? Why me again? But why not me? I often, like I say that, why me? Why not me? You know, bitter with the world and all this kind of stuff. I suppose when relaying up to, I eventually woke up that time after the shame and everything, and then it was someone else who told my mother I'd lost my job in Red FM. And the shame again with that is, and I was so embarrassed I couldn't tell my mother I lost my job, because that was my rock bottom again. This is the second time now. I'm a repeat offender, I call myself. But then and I'm trying not to swear these, but I was just fucked in that room, Ballincollig, and I got the phone out and I sent a message to Michael Gearan, like basically I'm fucked, and he had no idea. And I was like, look, I need help, I need to be sorted out. But my mother was so happy this time I looked for the help. I looked for the help. So I got into Cunvera and Cullarn up in Galway, and this time now it was for the tablets, for the Xanax. And of course, like this now, I lied going in about how many I was on, and you know, they need to know what you're actually on to detox you. You know, I said around 2 or 3 a day, and my mother was kind of looking at me, knowing well. She's like, tell her how much you're on, and I was like, 2 or 3 a day. Dope here went in, and it could have got a seizure, very likely. I couldn't sleep. Like, it was, my body was,
And by
my
the end of
heart.
it,
I'm not joking you.
How much were you using on a daily basis?
Oh, Jesus.
It's not relevant, but it's just...
I'd say it could be, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
It's a lot.
Depending on the day.
Yeah, and just explain to people, what did they actually do for you?
If you're taking them prescribed,
Yeah.
it helps your anxiety.
Yeah.
And would
how
help
do you
with sleep.
feel? It's like you don't have a worry in the world.
You just, this cloud is gone and this relief is there, and
Like you're floating through your
floating,
day.
and then it's like that little worry you had earlier. It's all going to be okay. You know,
Till you
everything's
come
gonna be
down
okay.
off them.
And then you come off them and you're rattling and shaking, and I swear to God, I never forget, I was there, I'm going to get a heart attack here. And I was like, you silly girl. I was inside in the room with 3 other girls, and they were all asleep, and they were all detoxing, they were coming off the drink, and I remember walking up for help to the nurse's station, and I was looking for something. Of course, they were like,
Leaping off the bed.
in my head, they're like, she's the pillhead. She just wants more pills. And I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, I'm going to get a heart attack. I'm going to get a heart attack. So they had to rush me to a doctor the next day to actually, because there was an in-house doctor that comes, but he didn't come on that day. And he actually gave me, Librium, I think. But of course, I was like, should we not give me Valium or something? Of course, the constant. I was like, Librium, she's that for drink, you know, non-stop. Got that in, it came off it, but I tell you, the weeks coming off that, lads, I tell you,
How long were you on them from total, Brenda, at that stage?
I go hard or go home. Here,
Yeah.
I'd only been on them a year, I'd say.
And that's enough.
That's enough.
That's a long time to
That's
be
enough.
on meds like that.
Like I came off heroin and tablets at the same time in prison, and when you come from smoking heroin every day and taking tablets every day to stop, my body used to go into psychosis. I'd be hallucinating. I'd be after, I don't know if there was something that used to happen to me. I used to be in jail after escaping and coming back to jail. I remember one night waking my brother up out of sleep. I was in the cell with him, wake up, and he's like, what? I says, get out of the bed and help me. What's wrong with you? I said, I've a load of drugs playing here. He says, what? I says, yeah, I'm after escaping. I says, I'm only back. He goes,
Sorry, be laughing.
He goes, what? I goes, I'm only after coming back, boy. I said, I've a load of drugs here. He's like, what the fucking, your man above in the top bunk starts laughing. He goes, I'll kill you, my brother's gone mad. He says, that's so crazy.
No,
you
sure.
know what I mean? So, I have 101 stories of all that kind of stuff coming off. So that time you get no methadone, no nothing. It was in cold turkey, and
must have been hell.
it was the tablet that was making me psychosis, hallucinating, and
I've often heard people saying it's worse coming off tablets than heroin.
Tablet.
Yeah.
And I was like, couldn't be.
Do you know codeine? Do you know
Yeah.
Tony, what do they call them? Northern Plus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was in a treatment centre, and there was a guy coming down off them.
I shared a room with a girl.
I've never in my
I
life
know.
seen anything
Me
like
too,
this.
yeah.
I've seen people coming down cold turkey and heroin. I've seen one person die on cold turkey and heroin in a treatment centre. Now that was many moons ago, and that stuff
Yeah.
wouldn't happen again. But he lost his life after about 30 or 40 days in cold
sad.
turkey. And man would be on it for 20 years, but this guy was codeine, right? He literally, I thought he was going to die. He had to leave, and then they had to bring him back. He was there for a long time in this place, and was only residential for 28 days. But they kept him there for an extra month. He was coming down off it. He was white. His whole body went white, and it was just cold sweat. And he was walking around shaking. I never ever seen anything like that before.
I shared a room with a girl who was coming off it, and what I saw.
Yeah.
She's well now, but what I saw was scary.
Yeah.
And the personality change and all that kind of stuff, and it was scary.
It's what it does to your bones, and
Yeah.
It's frightening.
it's just.
I actually thought, because I was shaking for weeks, I couldn't even cut my food because I was shaking. I was embarrassing. I had to ask the other residents, can you cut my food? And you see, when you're inside in brewery, you run the house. So we were you do the tea and this, and like if they give me the big teapot to fill out the ice, beg them ice, be nearly crying, go, don't give me the teapot, don't give me the teapot. And sure, they were like, what's wrong with you? Because I can't, because my hands were like rattling. And then I was like, I said to myself, have I nerve damage done? Have I nerve damage done? And I never forget, like I was so depressed inside. I never forget writing down, will I ever laugh again? Will I ever smile again? And then I remember running on the phone to my mother, bawling, crying, payphone, 15-minute phone call a week. And I remember roaring. You know when you roar crying like a child, and you can't breathe. It was that crying. Yeah. And I remember her just saying on the phone, you have to forgive yourself to move on. You have to forgive yourself. Yeah. But as the weeks went on, the come down, Jesus, I can't, as you're saying now, the tablets. Yeah. Horrid. The sweats. If I'd go for a shower, like the thought of moving my hands, and
it's like going into acid.
Oh my God. Yeah. And then the thought of putting on eyeliner. The thought of putting the eyeliner. I know you wouldn't have to do that now, but even the eyeliner.
Thomas does that behind closed doors, all right.
Tommy, I can see there on you. But anything like that, when we do group therapy and do the writing, I just was so embarrassing. But then around 8 weeks in, I was feeling better, and I remember writing to my mother, and you know what, I was like, you kind of going, this isn't too bad now. I got over the worst of it now, and I remember writing a letter to my mother going, I promise you I'll make the mother of all comebacks. And I got out in June 2019, and then I thought the whole of Cork was talking about me after getting the sack from Red FM, and I was to talk the place out, and I thought everyone thought she's an absolute disgrace. She's useless, her. And I said, look, I'll go back into PR or something. The media dream is over. But I ended up meeting Neil and all the lads from Red FM, because I was so ashamed. I just wanted to make amends. Yeah. But they were like, sure, you did nothing to us. It's you we feel sad for. And then Neil's wife, Paula, she was the editor of the Sunday Mirror newspaper, and she said, look, I'll give you a few shifts writing for the paper. But I wasn't writing at all. I was just a producer. It's kind of a different kind of field. But I said, look, I'll throw my hand at it, and I'll see. And then I started doing online writing for RSVP online. Paula, Neil's wife, gave me the chance again for that. And I started going, then I started to get front pages on the Sunday Mirror. And I was getting the good stories again. Yeah. And I was like, this is all right, and we'll see what the future brings and all that kind of stuff. So then I'll never forget, November 2019, I remember I got a text message from Neil, and I was in Abu Dhabi. I was going over to see my sister and my mother, and it was like, can you give me a call if possible? And I was like, he probably wants a number now for a guest or something, because I was getting guests for the paper, and they were good Cork stories, so he'd want a number for him. And basically, and I couldn't believe it, he was offering me my job back within 9 months of getting the sack. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't.
But they could see the growth in you again, you see.
Yeah. But then there was the whole, I don't deserve it and all this shit. And he was like, when I come over to the house and we'll chat, and I'll never forget, I was in a meeting in Ballincollig before it. And Jesus, I was doing All Ireland, the nerves. I was shitting it. Even though I knew him. Yeah. But going over to the house, because that shame and everything, even though Neil's the most understanding man ever. And I went over to the house, and I couldn't play sitting, and I still remember. Yeah. And I just couldn't. And I was like, this is what recovery is all about. Do you know when you're
going through it?
Do you know when they say life beyond your wildest dreams? And you know when you're just getting sober, that's bullshit there. Yeah. They're in the AA meetings, and you hear someone say it, and you're like, nah, they're all tapped. They're all mad. But I was sitting there going, this is life beyond your wildest dreams. You couldn't even imagine this.
Yeah.
So then I got back in there in June. I was after getting the sack. March. I was back in there in June with more holidays, a bit more pay. Then the pandemic. I was after giving up the cigarettes in February. And I remember being told, look, there'll be no stress here now, it'll all be grand. No, but pandemic hit then March 2020. I was only in there 2 months. And I wasn't even sober a year. And I was like, I'm not. I'm going to, this is going to break me again. I'm going to break down again. I'm not going to be able for this. Because, the world was falling apart. RAA meetings were gone. Everything was gone.
Zoom.
Gone. And then I felt victimised, as in, people were like, oh, I'm not going to the gym. No, our gym is closest. And I was like, well, my AA is gone. Do you mind your gym? My AA is gone. And then I was worried I was going to relapse again. And the fear was in me.
That was tough for a lot of people, wasn't it?
Tough for everyone. Tough for everyone. And then it turns out then it was actually the best radio we ever produced. And
did you produce in-house?
Oh, we all were going to work. Oh,
so we were masks on and stuff.
Oh, masks on, but we were never busier because everyone was at home and
listening to the radio.
Yeah. And we were never busier with emails and text messages and WhatsApp, and there was limited staff. We were the only ones going in.
Yeah.
Myself, Neil, Mark, Emer, who was working, she was pregnant, so she had to work from home. So I was put in the hot seat where she would be because she was working from home. She obviously was the series producer, but I was the one taking all the calls and directing what was going out to Neil. And I was a bit of a victim, as in, you said there'd be no stress, like in my own head. But then I was kind of like, no, you're able for it. This is a test.
That was getting you ready for the next step.
This is a test, girl.
Yeah.
So kept at that. Best radio we ever produced. We actually won a few awards that year. And then I was like, I never forget it. I'm a big woman for the manifesting. I love manifesting and all that. But my London thing, I mentioned London at the start, and I now live in London. But when I was 22, 23, my dream was to go to London. My dream was to work in ITV or BBC or Sky News. That was my dream. But I always had a bitter association because I'd see people over there and I was like, that was meant to be me.
This is a question in relation to your manifestation. Just to explain to people.
Yeah.
What was your manifesting process?
So what I did was a lot of writing down and visualization, writing down every single morning. I did the 3-6-9. 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the day, 9 times. But
how long before you actually felt like you were actually living in London in that position?
I tell you what happened. It was always the back of my head. It was April 2021 and I was training for the London Marathon. I was doing it, but I wasn't planning to go there that soon. But I thought the dream was dead and I was too old, and I was running, when I was training for the London Marathon, I was living in Ballincollig and I used to run into my estate and I used to pretend it was Buckingham Palace. This is before 4:00 in the morning now, and I'm doing the marathon here and this is Buckingham Palace. And I remember 4:00 in the morning and I'd be passing, we'll say, the Trade House in Ballincollig. I'd be like, that's the Shard now, or that's Canary Wharf, and but this was me. But it was this divine intervention, this epiphany. You have to go to London, you have to move to London, you have to get back what your addiction stole. You have to do it. And it was like a woman possessed. I remember I went into work that morning, the guy I was working with, Mark, he's English, and I was like, do you think they'll like me over London? Because he'd worked in London in radio. And he was like, what? I goes, do you think they'll get me And he was like, yeah. And I rang my mother at 12 o'clock because I used to ring her every day after the show. And I said, girl, I'm going to move to London. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get the dream that was stolen off me. And she was like, yeah, all right, yeah, no problem. I goes, no, I'm going to move home to Ballydesmond and I'm going to drive up and down to Cork and I'm going to save a couple of grand and I'm going to go. She said, no problem. And I was like, fine. Within 2 months, I was out of the house in Ballincollig after moving all my stuff back to Ballydesmond. Ballydesmond now was an hour up and down to Cork every day. And I had friends who were kind of like, you won't last doing that. You won't be able to go up and down every day. And I was like, oh, I will, watch me. And I did that for 6 months. And then I was throwing CVs to TV stations, Sky News, all of them in London. But sure, no one knew what Red FM was or 96 FM was, So again, I was after learning my trade in the writing. And I love the Mail Online app. I do love it. And I like reading showbiz. I like all the fluffy stuff. I like the hard news, but then I like the fluffy stuff. And I found out who the editor of the showbiz online with the Mail Online is. The Mail Online is the biggest news app in the world. It's huge. It is the biggest one in the world. And I sent her an email and the subject matter was Eager Beaver. And her name was Rebecca Davison. And I said, hi, Rebecca, I really love the Mail Online. Would love to write for you guys. Thinking, no, look, that'll be another one who'll say no. And then she emailed back within minutes ago, oh, hi, Brenda, love your email. Yes, let's set up a call next week. No,
How it works.
this
man.
now was September. No, this was actually October. It was after doing the London Marathon, and I was in Albufeira and I went on a holiday with my friend Deirdre. And I let loose on that holiday, lads. I don't know what happened to me, but everyone thought I was pissed on my Instagram. I was just high on life.
Yeah.
High on the crack, high on like the real Brenda's back again. But there's also the empathetic Brenda that people know now as well. The whole Brenda was there, but having the crack. And I remember sitting by the pool and I have this London thing. I was just after doing the marathon and I was like, I'm so hungry for this. This is happening. This is happening come January, February. I'm doing this. And then she said, let's set up a phone call when you're back from your holidays. And when, do you know, now if I was hungry, I couldn't stop thinking about this Rebecca one. Did the phone call and she seemed to like me. She said, I'll give you a picture there to write on a celebrity, a couple of 100 words, see how you get on. Sent it back to her. She's like, fine. She goes, we'll give you a week's training online. You don't have to come to London. Took a week off. Got trained in how to write for the mail online, the certain way, the app and all that kind of stuff. So what happened then was I was like manifesting now non-stop. I was writing it every morning. I remember getting a girl a print and I said, can you do like 3 iconic buildings in London? Can you do the Gherkin, London Bridge and the Shard? And I said, can you symbolise in the Shard BBC? Can you symbolise in the Gherkin ITV? And can you symbolise in London Bridge ITV? And there are small little symbols and I had it in my room and I'd look at it every day. And I did my training and then they gave me shifts, freelance shifts. But I said, I work full time in Red FM. So I was doing 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. So that can you do 2 p.m. to 11 p.m.? So I was working some days 7 till 11 at night. And then going to the gym in the morning, getting up at 5.
Jesus.
It's the gym for the head. But I knew it was coming.
Yeah, it was coming.
And I was going for it and she liked me. And I said, this woman is going to change my life. And then come December that year, we were on our Christmas holidays and I was doing shifts for them, and I remember she just said, would you like to come to London? And I'll never forget it. I was like, oh my god,
It was after happening.
it was wrong. It was Christmas 2021 and I swear to god it was
already after happening before it happened.
It was, yeah.
Because you were but between your visualization and feeling how you felt on
Oh
that
my
phone
gosh.
call before it even happened,
yeah.
that's what made it happen.
I
It was supposed to be
just
happening.
and then I told them on Red FM, she was delighted. I was like, look, I'm going for it. And then I moved over then in March 2022, so I'm just there over 2 years. But then my goal was always to get into ITV. That was always my long goal, but seemed to be the hardest one. But I got into Sky News, I got into BBC,
Jesus.
I got into this now was all happening within a year. And do you know what my USP was? Just being me.
Yeah.
Like, I find there's a bit, not in Red FM or 96 FM, but I always felt like, as in, I had to be related to someone to get into the likes of RT. You know what I mean? I had to be someone's daughter or know someone. Over there, they take you on your talent. Over there, they actually take you on personality, because I solely feel like one of my best assets is just being me around the place. I'm by far not the best producer in there. I know I'm not. But I know I'm in there for a bit of morale. You know, someone told me they call me the CMO and there's Chief Morale Officer. And when I heard that, I go, swear to God. And they were like, yeah. I was like, oh my God, I rang my mother. Do you know what they call me here? I rather that, because if they told me that some of the presenters said, great brief you've written there, Brenda, I'd be like, oh yeah, whatever. But CMO, I was like, and I just love London. And it's full circle, because I was so bitter watching these people live my life. You know what I mean? And that was a big, like, my addiction stole my dreams. You know what I mean? And just, no, I have it back. And I swear to God, when I'm flying back tomorrow, looking over, that's it. Not every day I fly over the city, I'm like, I'm grateful. Every day I wake up there, and I do a lot of running around there. And I swear to God, my heart is full every day. I never take it for granted.
London is by far, Tommy, excuse me, I'll just put this chair up. London is by far, in my eyes, one of the most beautiful cities on the planet.
Beautiful.
The architecture over there is beyond anything I've ever seen in any other place I've been to in the world. And it's a very fast-paced city, but when I'm over there, I don't take notice of that. I'm just looking around the place, fuck, this place is unreal. And then I love walking to places where the atmosphere with the people is unreal. Mm-hmm. So I walked up to Soho.
Unreal, yeah.
And I was walking through Soho and I was just looking at people enjoying themselves, and I was walking around, Tommy, Brenda, and I just had a smile on my face, just watching people having fun, walking through Chinatown. It's just the ambience there was so uplifting. And I had the kids with me, and the kids were fucking didn't want to be there. They wanted to go home. The legs were walked off. And I was like, come on, just another hour. Like a big child. But I couldn't get over the place. It was so beautiful. And I was over there recently with a friend. We were over there visiting a prison. A lovely female prison after being built for ladies. It's a residential place. So instead of going to prison where a lady has to either give her kids to her mother or they go to care, this prison was built so the kids could come with her and live in an apartment.
Oh wow, yeah.
And she could do her sentence in there, and they get all the services. There's a creche there, a school for the kids. There was AA and NA meetings, and there was counselling for the ladies. Everything they needed to get well. And we were over there and we visited that place, and I was saying, like, they're actually miles ahead of us in so many different areas. You know, but it's I don't know, but I live there because it's very like Ireland in relation to the weather, but it's definitely a very, very beautiful place.
I love the energy of it. You're saying the ambience, and I get that, the energy of it. I always say, like, people say, did you find it hard to settle into London? I always say I slotted in. The minute the plane touched the tarmac on the 22nd of March 2022, I was like, this is it now. I'm home. And like, home will always be home, but I feel so at home there. I've loved beautiful friends, like Irish, English, all nationalities. And do you know what it was? I was afraid I might lose a bit of myself, as in hold back a bit, because when I was saying to Mark that, will they get Brenda, like, will I have to change it up a bit? But Jesus Christ, no, they love it. I haven't changed a bit.
That's perfect.
Doing the absolute same foolish stuff I would have done around Red FM, and they love it. They embrace it.
And that's how Brenda will go far in what she wants to do in her life. And what is your dream? What is that pinnacle in your career where you want to get to? Well, that special sweet spot.
I suppose, do you know the thing is, I was always a great woman for a plan, and I had a certain plan, and this plan was to get my dream job and to be working in ITV. And then a year ago, I do a podcast with my friend Julie, and we didn't have that podcast a year ago.
Yeah.
And do you know they say if you can make money out of your hobby? To make money out of my hobby and to make a living,
Would you like to be a presenter?
No, it's not even be a presenter. Like, I love what I do with Julie. Do you know that you did the live shows? Yeah. There's nothing like that.
But like, where I see now, listen, this is just me, because I can see it and I can see the way you are. Where I could see you going is something like a Graham Norton show or a Jonathan Ross show as a presenter. There's no end to it. There's loads we can do.
Yeah.
Look at Graham Norton, came from Bandon.
Yeah. Do you know what?
He's probably the most sought after presenter in England in relation.
Absolutely. If it was to be a
you have that character, Brenda. That's
I'd
my
love
point.
to be. Do you know what? I'm very happy to be a co-host in something. Yeah. Being the person itself. Yeah. Full time, like, I like having a bit of a sidekick. Yeah. I must say now, I do like having a sidekick, and I gel well. And to make money out of my hobby full time, you know, we make a few bob on the shows and stuff like that, but to make it full time out of that's my dream. That's my dream, and that's Can you see yourself and Julie having your own show in television soon? Do you know what? I wouldn't put it past us, because
there you go.
We're both so dissimilar. Yeah. Julie's a single mom of twins. You know, she's an Instagram mommy, and she's like turned her life around as well. You know,
Tell us a little bit about the podcast.
Yeah, the podcast. We want to be promoting our podcast now on your podcast.
We're not about that here.
But it's we started around a year ago. Left on Red, and Left on Red. People, is it Left on Red? Sometimes it sounds like it's a gambling podcast, and it's because we're doing a bet here. Left on Red, and I'm like, it's definitely not gambling. It's definitely not gambling. So Left on Red is a term if someone leaves you on red, and you know, it's
on
kind
text
of
message.
You're ghosted. Now me and Julie be great women for being ghosted by men, right? We've had all sorts of it. So it started off just a bit of a laugh, talking about dating, chatting about, like, we're so opposites. Opposites attract. Okay. I'm completely opposite. I get up for the gym some mornings in London at 2:30. You know what I mean? She is getting up with her twins, her two twins.
2:30 in the morning.
Yeah, because I start work at 5 a.m. sometimes, and I'm training for a marathon. I have to get my run in before work. Madness.
That's dedication.
Madness.
But do you know what? It is madness, but you know, people say, that's madness. I said, no, it's motivation.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
dedication.
It's motivation. Like, you know, that's more, even at work, they go in at 5 a.m. in the morning because the show I work on starts at 6 a.m. and they'd be doing overnights and they're like, we're at the gym. I'm like, yeah, and they're like, Jesus Christ, how many miles? I'm 10 miles done there now before 5 a.m. And I don't have to do it in the later on in the evening, you know what I mean? So I'm done. So it's about my life in London. Julie's life here, it's just two girls having the crack. It's like two girls just having a conversation on the phone, chatting all sorts. We've when it comes to like when really bad stuff happens in our dating lives, he left me on red or he ghosted me and I slept with him, he didn't text back. We'll say it. We've no shame. I think when it comes to addiction, we don't have shame.
You should have him on some night there in a live show. That'd be an interesting
Are you single?
Yeah.
Are you, Tommy?
That would be a very nice going red. No,
Tommy, have you left someone on red?
No.
That would be very interesting conversation.
See, this is
Take my
it.
word on that.
Tommy might have to get you on.
No, you won't be putting me on that.
He'd love it.
Tommy.
Mind him. He'd be asking me now after. Will you ring Brenda there and ask her, will she have me on the show?
Listen, you never know. You never know.
You never know.
Do you know what it is? It's just a bit of a laugh for people. Because do you know when you just kind of, when you're listening, just want something to like to listen to. It's like two girls having the crack on the phone call and people are listening and that's what it is. And we have great chemistry.
Yeah.
Like the two of you have great chemistry.
Yeah.
Now I feel very comfortable with you.
Yeah.
And like this now, we the laugh and we're serious. Julie and I are both the same. You know, and we didn't set out very good friends. We didn't really know each other, so we've had a few tips and stuff.
Yeah.
You get to know each other through the tips, and we laugh at the
But
tips.
That's why it'll work here. Like we've complete transparency. We've been battering each other since we're knee height, and we've had our arguments. But that's all they were. Nothing ever gets in the way.
That's it.
Do you know? And like when you have relationships where you can say what you have to say in the relationship. That means no one's going home with any shit in their head. And they're not going home for a weekend or 4 or 5 days to fester on it. And that works in every area. That works in your job, in your relationships with your wife or your partner. You know, you have to call it out on the spot because if you don't, things go pear-shaped very quickly. And
I think as well when it comes to a podcast as well, it's kind of like with the friendship as well, and there's the businessy side of it.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of learning that, you know, this is the podcast, this is the friendship, you know, because the 1 or 2 tips we had, and it was over the podcast.
Yeah.
I didn't know how Julie reacted because I can't cope if someone gets a bit kind of, do you know now if someone got a bit sour at me and they went quiet, I don't like that. I want to start straight away.
Yeah.
If we had an argument, no, me and you, Tommy, right, and then you were ignoring me and not answering me, that would drive me mad. Whereas I get over things very easily.
Yes.
Because I don't want to be going around with that energy.
I'd be very much like that too.
And I don't think it's a walkover. I just don't want to be carrying that energy. I get over things. If someone does me wrong, I don't forget it.
Yeah.
But just if it's simple and it's something silly, just gone. But she always forgets. It's just the way she might do something and I'm different then. Yeah. But we're having a ball. We love it and she's brilliant.
And you're flying.
Yeah, it's good, yeah.
You're absolutely flying.
No, it's good.
You know, and listen, as I said, this could take off massively and you could be on television in the next few years with your own show. And I don't see why not.
Yeah.
You know, if it's something that people can get a bit of crack off, everybody wants to be entertained.
Yeah.
Brenda, you know. So, like, how we were chatting before, and just to change conversation for a small bit, right? When you're in the media, okay, you can get a lot of beautiful, nice comments, and you can get a lot of shit. And sometimes the 1,000 nice comments that we get don't matter because we get one shitty one where somebody just doesn't like us because they might walk up on the wrong side of the bed or they just might have an issue in their own fucking life that they can't deal with. How do you deal with that in the social media area?
It's funny now because I did something earlier and they were going to send my interview out to the press.
Okay.
Straight away, I said, oh my God, online article, me on Facebook or Twitter, here comes the comments. And that's a sad fact that's the first thing I think of. And you know what, I don't understand. Someone will see the bad comment and send to me, you see this about you?
They're worse than the person that sent it then.
They're worse.
Yeah.
Or do you know what's worse? Someone might write something bad now as in, oh, Tommy, that dope, right? and Brenda Dennehy will like it. Brenda Dennehy's worse for liking the comment.
Yeah.
How before, obviously, Timmy, there's been stuff I did before. I remember I did an article on not wanting kids, a personal piece from the Echo, and this one had up the most hated woman in Cork, me. And I was like, sure, I don't even know. I actually went into her page after, and turned out I got our big massive refund back on Neil's show on Red FM. And I was like, I got you thousands of euros back, and you're saying the most hated woman in Cork because I wrote a personal piece.
But that's
about
your own
this
opinion.
is it. But I'm looking at that. Do you know what I do
And
now?
how did you feel after that then?
I felt terrible. All the 90 great comments of, well done, Brenda, for being so open. You know, it's a taboo subject. Well done. She's the most hated woman in Cork. I looked at that and I took that to bed with me that night.
But that doesn't stay like that forever, because, and this is no just based on my own experiences. When we came out first, like, I would have got a lot of stick as well, because in my past I hurt a lot of people in the past when I was caught up in addiction. I did, you know, and I do regret it. As I said a while ago, that's the part of my life I regret. I regret the people I hurt, you know, and I mean that sincerely. And people, I hope people understand that. But when somebody starts fucking giving you shit for no reason, because they probably don't like the way you sound, they don't like, because the reason might be they don't like that you have to move around with your own life and they're still stuck, like, that's wrong.
Yeah.
That's completely wrong, because nobody wants to get a shit for no reason. You know, like, we're here trying to help people, all of us, no matter what. You're sharing your story to help other people. You know, there's no one here looking for any bit of fame or popularity or anything else. We're doing this with the goodness of our hearts. It's not for others. No, I'm not getting fucking paid for this. Do you know? And that's fine, because I love it.
Yeah.
This is what I love doing. I'm passionate about it, and I love having these conversations, and I always will. But it can be tough in social media, and I did get a few tough old comments, you know. But in time, Brenda, I started to get thicker skin, you know.
I can imagine, yeah.
Because I had to process the stuff. I had to deal with it on the spot, and I allowed myself to feel it, you know, and I got stronger and stronger and stronger in time. And I will tell you this, the majority of all the comments we got back were absolutely amazing, because people are actually brilliant. Yeah. People are good and kind. And that's what, I love people, and I love the way people can relate to what we have to say, and yourself and all of our different guests. And I love all the beautiful comments, and thank you so much. You know, I'm doing this with my life because of this guest, and that's amazing. But it takes time for us to grow. Yeah. Now, have you moved into a place where you're able to just take on board? Okay. Yeah. No, if there was a article going about me, I wouldn't look at it. And if I did see, I wouldn't ever go looking for something written about me. I don't, because I say that's nearly a form of self-abuse. Yeah. And the way I see it as well, if they're writing stuff somewhere about me, at least they're off my page. They're not bringing it to me. Write it elsewhere. Don't bring it to me. That's how I see it now as well. But I just kind of say, I've realised I can't make these people like me. They have their opinion made up, and the opinions are based on observations. I can't change their mind. And that's fine, because before I'd die if I thought one person didn't like me. I mean, why couldn't you like me? I mean, oh my God, people pleaser, and I want everyone to like me. But now I'm just like, I can't change your mind. That's her opinion. That's fine. So no, I don't even go looking for it. Am I immune to it for the rest of my life? No, because there might be the odd day where I'm feeling a bit flat. You know, and sure as hell, there will be something written, and someone will, even a friend, will go, God, you see that there about you? Or else, don't look at the Echo page there now because there's stuff written about you. Knowing well you're going to go look at it. Yeah. Like, that mentality annoys me more than anything. Yeah. But you know what does annoy me, and you might get this as well. Someone recently said to me, yeah, but sure, they're a public figure, they're fair game. No, they're not. Just because you're a politician or a podcast host or whatever, or just because you might have a past, you're not fair game. Everyone has feelings. I don't like that. You know, the way, like, the abuse the likes of, we'll say, Leo Varadkar gets and everything. You know, he's stepping down, of course, because of a bit of abuse. The abuse the politicians get, like, they think they're all fair game. They're not, just because you might be a public figure. I don't think it's fair. And I don't think anyone who's you're putting yourself out there, you deserve it. You don't. You don't. There's no such. I believe there's no such thing as fair game.
No.
I don't think it doesn't matter what somebody does. I think keep your opinions to yourself in relation to that stuff.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no such thing as fair game, because in the morning you could be the fair game.
This is
Yeah,
it.
but
That's the
there are
reality of it.
A lot of them people have a lot going on in their
Oh,
own
listen.
lives, and they're just pointing the fingers at others.
Hurt people. We all know
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And that's it. And all those people, those trolls, like trolls don't hate you or me or you, Tommy. They hate themselves. And that's
Yeah,
where it
yeah,
comes from.
yeah.
And we've all been, remember when we were at our lowest, were we happy for anyone? Absolutely not. Because when you're not happy in yourself, you can't be happy for anyone else. You know?
Do you know another thing? Do you know, because you're actually in the media so much, and
Yeah.
this was a big thing for me and James as well in the past. Do you have your own kind of maybe person that you can talk to around how you're feeling about it? Because you're moving into an area that you haven't experienced previously, and you're putting yourself right out there. And do you get any supervision maybe?
No, it's funny,
Might
we
be
don't.
something to look into.
Did he
because
have something like that?
We did.
Did you?
We did. We did. Like, I did anyway, because I'd always been counselling.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
And I was always doing my own work, always, consistently. Meditation and other stuff, retreats and just talking to people that are in my life who I trust, my
Yeah.
life, and I have a good few people like that, and it was key. And I find it's very important as well for the relationship of the people that are working together. And it was always my dream when I was working, and I always wanted to employ people who were like us in recovery. And it was always my dream on a Friday when we finish work, we meet up at the end of the week, we go for a bit of food, and we sit at the table and we talk about what happened during the week. So nobody's carrying shit from the week home, and they're for festival over the weekend. So if John Tommy has a problem with me, Tommy, how'd you get on the week? Like, anyone here fuck you up over the week? But it has to be completely in a really, really safe space where we can talk about it, and nobody's going home saying, them fuckers fucking started picking on me. It wouldn't be like that. It's about going back to work on the Monday
with a good head.
And in time, then somebody can say it on the spot. Yeah, Tommy, why you fucking cool down on today? I'm not in the headspace. This is going on at home. I need you to relax and just be a bit mindful that I'm not kind of in my usual great place, and just give me a break. That kind of way.
Yeah.
And I think that works. Myself and Tony, we've had a conversation about this stuff at the beginning, like where we want to have complete transparency around anything, and I think with those conversations, relationships grow, we deal with stuff on the spot, and we just keep moving forward and growing. I think that's important, and that could be in any form of work. It can be in massive construction companies or accountancy firms or radio stations or small podcasts, because especially when you have two people together, and it can be difficult. Like, we have 4 on board here, myself, Tommy, Georgie and Donald, and people just come on and give everybody his space. We give Tommy his space, Tommy gives me my space. He'll grow more as the podcast growing, and I'll just sit back and I leave Tommy grow his space. And that's important to me. And we've had those conversations, Tony. Do you know where I want Tony to be a part of the podcast? Where he has his own mic there and the camera on him, where he can join in when he needs to. And that's why I always include him in the chats as well and ask him questions.
And as a listener, you like to hear that as well.
Oh, Tony has fucking loads to offer this.
Yeah.
Tommy has massive amount of stuff to offer this. This is a conversation between people.
Yeah.
Having a bit of crack, and everybody is so different. When I'm listening to him talking about his understanding of stuff, and this fella is like, he's so different to Tony, and I'm so different to the two of them, and you're so, but we're all the same in a different way. Then there's, and I love that. I love just sitting. I sat there at that couch last week, Tony. There's 3 of us here, myself, Tony and Dawn, and the 2 boys were talking about different stuff, and I was like, fucking hell, this is powerful. Like, it was like I was just sitting there, and I was getting I was starting to understand how the boys understood their own heads and how they understood psychotherapy, and I was like, fuck it, this is great. Sat there for 20 minutes and I'd know my mouth.
Wow.
I just listened to the 2 of them, and it was powerful. For once, I got an opportunity to keep my mouth closed
Yeah.
and enjoy it. Do you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's something that it just really makes people kind of gel together a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's fantastic, and we will definitely be doing that here this
Yeah.
time. You know, more like 100,000,000%, because I need everybody here to understand how important that they are to what we're doing here. This is not me. This is not my podcast. This is our podcast. You know, and I just want it to grow.
And it will.
And you know, it just
will.
grow the way it is. You know, so
And it's great having Tommy here too.
I love.
Because I'd heard your story, Tommy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't say much, but a
But
lot
doesn't what
come.
you say then matters.
He won't shut up now
I know.
outside when we get him out here after.
Yeah.
Tommy, like, is just, when we go on walks, we do a lot of adventure walks and stuff.
Yeah.
We walk cross country, like. You hear Tommy from about 20
Yeah,
metres
yeah.
back, like, up the front, telling boys a story, and, like, there's no...
And I have a lot of stories,
Yeah.
I can tell you that.
Do me a favour, don't be telling any talking about any of my ones, anyway.
Oh, stop.
But listen, Brenda, like, life is very good for you at the moment.
Brilliant.
Like, all the positive things that happen, your own podcast, you're working in your dream job, you know, like you seem like you're really good in yourself as well.
Yeah, and do you know what? I do gratitude list every single morning, and I meditate every morning. And that I might be able to have 2 in the morning. I'm writing that gratitude list because I can't go on with the day unless I do it.
Myself and Tony were only talking about that there a while ago, weren't we?
Yeah.
7 minutes there. I do 7 minutes in the morning as well.
Brilliant.
Yeah. 3 minutes gratitude. A minute and a half setting up my day. A minute and a half my goals within 5 years, and a minute of positivity.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I love that. I hadn't heard
Every
it in 7
morning,
minutes.
and I send it to someone to be accountable for
Oh,
it.
that's
then.
brilliant.
Yeah, powerful.
Oh, that's brilliant. I'm going to start doing that myself.
And you know, when you start doing it, it does feel a bit like,
Oh,
it's
at the
odd.
start, it's like, what am I grateful for?
Oh, I know.
Do you know?
I know.
But
Even
I was only doing it there now with Tony. Now it just flows
You
out
have
of
to
me.
do it
Do
then.
you know what I mean? And if I get caught in any of the other ones, I still go on with gratefulness then again, do you know?
yeah.
But yeah, it's powerful. And it changes your day
does,
as well.
yeah, it
Do you know
does.
what I mean?
It does.
Waking up in the morning like, oh God, I have to do this and in here and all that. That's the way I was.
Yeah.
That's the way I was. And since I do my 7 minutes, it changes everything.
Yeah.
Do you know? And going into people, and you know, some people can be negative and this and that, and you know, you don't get sucked into it as much. It just
Oh,
bounces
that's
off
it.
you,
Stay
do you
away
know?
from the negativity.
Yeah.
Stick
So,
with the winners, as they
we were
say.
only talking about that there a while ago.
Stick with the winners. Yeah, that's it.
It's
Yeah.
about helping
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
So, Brenda, your podcast, is it out every week?
Yeah, out every Monday.
Have you any
Left
live
on
shows
Red.
coming up?
We are going to be announcing some soon. So I don't
Nice
have the
one.
exact dates, but we'll be announcing some soon, yeah.
Yeah, and when you are, leave us know.
We will.
We'll
Thanks
share
so
a
much.
few as well,
Thanks
and,
so much.
You know, and
Yeah.
listen, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks so much for
I
having me.
mean
I had
that.
an absolute blast.
You know, like, even the conversation we had, like, you really left us know who you are. And I think you left everybody else know who you are as well. And I think we're all rooting for you. We all want you to do well in everything that you're going to be doing in your life. And I wish you
Oh, thanks.
all the best in the future myself.
So
And from
do
the
I.
rest of the team here tonight. So thank you so
Thank
much.
you,
Thanks
Brenda.
for having me.
Tommy, you going to say?
No,
cool?
I'm happy. I'm bait now.
I'm a new friend, and Tommy now
I
after
know,
tonight.
yeah.
And Tony.
100%. And Tony.
The 3 T's.
Yeah.
I won't be leaving you on right anyway.
Be in the 3 T's.
Make sure you get him on.
You'll be on our podcast yet.
Trust
Talk
me,
about
you'll
your
have the
lovely
best crack.
Tommy.
You'll have the best crack of your life. So listen, everybody, thank you so much again for listening to the Long Way Back podcast. I'm Timmy Long with
I'm
Tommy
Tommy
Long, my
Long.
co-host,
Thanks.
Brenda Dennehy, who's been an absolute lady here this evening. So thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank
and
you,
thank you
Brenda.
to Tony as well.
Thanks,
for producing.
Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
So listen, until we see you again, God bless.